we go. There we go. I don't know why it messed up. Let's see what this does. Now they can hear us. Yep.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yep. Now you can hear us. Now you can hear us.
All right. Now, don't we need?
We'll have to fix it on that third screen too, but just wait till we get there and we'll do it. Like I said, welcome to old men fumbling with technology. This is our third installment. I mean, I had to mess some stuff up here.
There we are.
Okay. Is the sound gone? No, we're there.
Can you guys hear us? Can you hear us now?
Now you can hear us. As I said. So we'll just edit that all out. Welcome to Team Argonaut Game Room Crafting Extravaganza. We've been working on updating some things, but we're still fighting with OBS, which is the story of my life. What was I saying? Yeah, today we're going to work on my TheCliffsOfNewHaven for GenCon 2026. But we decided to do something new. Something I'm going to do. We're probably going to do it in a couple different ways. But to start off, we're gonna show off some of my large pieces of terrain that I built. And this one, go ahead and switch to the terrain. And that's the one we have to do the sound. Let me fix this. Oh, it's working. This one's working. Okay. This is my Aztec temple that I built for. Let me move that chat over onto this. Move the chat over here so I can see. This is the Aztec, full-blown Aztec temple that I built for GenCon last year. I'm going to pull this camera off and try to get some decent close-ups of it. Kind of show you guys what we got here.
This wasn't last year, GenCon.
Or no, yeah, I guess it wasn't last year. It was a couple years ago.
Yeah, year number 2 at GenCon.
Now, it's massive. I don't know if you guys are getting the scale on this, but it has what is it? The Kukulkan at the top, the snake god. These are miniatures I printed with my 3D printer. And then this was the big bad guy. Her staff broke off. There was a temple at the top where we had a Sudoku-like puzzle that the players had to solve to open it. Staircase with panthers and these cool snake things. All of these things came to life as the players climbed the stairs, and they had to fight everything. But there's also, mount this back up here real quick. The cool thing about this was the final scene of the battle.
No, it wasn't. This was building to the final scene.
Yeah.
They had to battle these things to get to the top, where they solved the puzzle. Which solving the puzzle allowed them access to the actual pyramid itself.
Right. So this was like midway, or 2/3 of the way through. Now this was the cool part. It's going to take me a second here to tear this down. I'm going to square that camera up. And this was in the terrain building idea. Was when I started building GenCon for GenCon, I had this, this vision that everything needed to be as modular as possible. That way you have as few pieces to carry back and forth to the room. And so the way it worked was, set this off. The adventure started in a park. And I don't have all the I don't have all the scattered terrain, but this was a park with bushes and benches, a large statue here, and there was that was the initial fight, the first step of the adventure. When they defeated that, this flipped over. The next step of the adventure.
No. Oh, yep.
Was this? It's a street and a building. This was like a big wizard, or what was he? A necromancer?
Josiah Brimstone, who is a immortal, kind of evil wizard mage, who happened to be the only person that they could get a hold of that knew anything about the occult.
Right. But this was like an occult shop, and they went in, and there was a big role play thing and a small battle that went on in there. When they finished that, this flipped over. The next step. Oh, the next step was the actual temple. Was the full temple.
Yeah.
Once they entered the temple, it came down and they fought here in the main. This was the main room of the temple. It had gold treasure and pillars with different items on them that they had to move this was a big battle.
Yeah, and the description, I kind of wished we could have set that whole room up, but it looked cool. But it was just dozens and dozens and dozens of little, artifacts, I guess you'd call them. Some of them that the characters could use against the boss in here. It had, I think, a sarcophagus. It had all kinds of stuff. It was a cool looking room.
Yeah. Hey, Brooke, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. I don't know what didn't work for you, but I hope everything's working right. Once they defeated that, or once towards the end of that battle, they got transferred to. I have this board, but on the back side, it was into space. They teleported into space, and this is where they fought the big Kukulkan. Or the what's it called?
Quetzalcoatl.
This is where they fought the Quetzalcoatl. Got teleported into space with some other bad guys, and there was a big, like, zero gravity with floating rocks going around. I don't have all that stuff handy, but that's what that was. So, but building these boards double sided like that, saved a lot of hassle, and it was just this is one of my pieces of terrain that I'm most proud of. It was a blast making it. This is all freehand, and it's all just it's all the 2-inch thick XPS foam. The styrofoam stuff that I make everything out of. Every bit of it is this stuff. Just the regular 2-inch thick XPS foam. And then those 3D models. So, yeah, but I'm gonna do this every week. I'm gonna try to, because I have if you notice in my background here, I've got a god awful amount of terrain.
It's chaos back there, folks. Enter at your own risk.
It's massive.
You touch one thing, the whole thing comes down like a freaking avalanche, and I'm not really kidding.
It's all stacked very meticulously.
I think meticulously as in precariously.
Yeah. But, and like I said, I love making big pieces of terrain, and which is what we're doing again today. Today we've gone back to the Cliffs of New Haven. This is my I don't know if everyone remembers the first episode, our first live stream. We got this started. I've done a little bit of work on it. I'm injured. My knee has been giving me major problems this last week. I wasn't able to put a lot of time into it, but I've just done, you know, what everybody saw. But I finished out the edges of this, and we have that, and then there's one more piece somewhere. There it is. This piece that's going to go in the front. But today what we're going to work on is I'm going to texture the faces of the cliff and start adding levels to it. And actually, while I've got this up, I'm going to kind of mark. I've thought a lot about how I want to do these cliffs, or these ledges and caves, but we'll see how that all comes out. You know, I think a lot about stuff a lot of times. Nothing really happens. So right off the bat here, I've got more of the texturing to do. How well you can see it, I've started a little bit, but we want to beat this space up pretty good. I'm using my rock, the good one, and just running this texture over it. When I first started doing all this, I worried about doing the texture like this, because I worried about having a flat surface to glue to, you know, where this pops it up. But use a fair amount of, you know, hot glue, it doesn't matter. You aren't going to be able to put dents in here deep enough to really affect it that bad. I'll attach the ledges with hot glue and you put a couple of pins in it, a couple of pieces of what are they, the shish kebab sticks, you know, the little wooden sticks. But yeah, and I want these cliffs. I want these, you know, when you set the piece of terrain on the ground, I've talked about before, I want a reaction. I want people to go, oh my God. And for GenCon, this will be on the table, where this is a little different from what I've done in the past, where I have scenes, like 3 separate scenes, like boom, this is the starting, boom, there's the middle, and boom, there's a final scene. Where this is going to be pretty much one scene the whole way through. I'm going to have, you know, they're going to start on the cliffs, climb it, they'll have a couple options of caves to go in, and when they go in those caves, I'll put another piece down on the table that will represent the inside of the cave. But those will just be kind of simple cave deals, depending on what all I put in there. I know I'm going to have some cultists, and there'll be bad guys, and there will be some cool stuff in there, but this cliff side has to speak for itself. And I really need it to pop, because this is what's gonna sell it. You know, this is what's gonna create the whole thing. And I've got a good start on the texture here. As I add, once I get all my walkways and stuff on it, I'll probably go through and do more detailed textures, like cut chunks out here and there to, you know, to indicate caves and little resting spots where they could stop and fit 2 or 3 people, you know, like a little alcove or whatever. But you can dig those out later. But this part, if you don't do this before you attach the walkways, you really create a major headache for yourself trying to do this around the walkways and getting into the little corners.
Yeah, if you put the walkways in there first, as you said, the rock wouldn't be able to make texture all the way through.
Yeah, you'll have those edges where the ledge sticks in that you can't. I mean, you can get to it by going, but you have, it turns into detail work.
And we all hate that.
I'm gonna come over there and poke stuff. Yeah, they have texturing.
Have a few.
I have a couple texturing rolling pins, but they're not the right. There's something about using. I've got, this is a fake piece of gold rock that I've literally been using for like 6 years. I'm surprised it's not round yet. But this gives a good random. The rolling pins, I mean, you can go over it again and again and again to get rid of the repetitive texture. But I haven't found a decent, just stone texture rolling pin. Everything is, different, like, they're like flagstone designs or, stuff like that.
Or bricks. And those rolling pins that he's talking about they are the best. They are great for, as he said, flagstones, bricks, walkways, things like that.
Yeah, they're awesome for that kind of stuff. But for just a regular stone texture,
good rough hewn texture, the awesome special rock is the way to go.
Yeah. Now, do that. I also want to beat these edges real good. And I'll probably do more work on these edges as time goes on, but they're easy to get to, and I can like kind of smash it down. You don't want any right angles. Nothing's a perfect right angle. So even when I chop these, when I chop these out with the razor knife, it still leaves that not a right angle, but it leaves that hard edge, that clean edge. You don't want any clean edges on any of it. Everything needs to look. When you go to paint it, it really gives you an awesome texture. Beating the crap out of this. I'm sure this sounds wonderful on that microphone.
You're also shaking the camera pretty good too.
Yeah.
It's a good earthquake creation. Crafting.
I survived the Indiana earthquake of 1984.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
I did too. Yeah.
Okay. So we got that. So next is this. Whoa. I kind of marked out. You can't really see it, but I kind of marked out here where I want my ledge to start. And it's and my knee. So that's it. That's all. Here. There it is. Okay, yeah. That's where I'm at. So I'm going to start off with a ramp, like kind of a ramp coming off of this going up.
And just to make sure you guys understand the perspective that's going on, this is the wall. This is actually the vertical part of the cliffs.
And this is where the people will be standing here.
That's the floor.
Yeah. So, chop me a... here.
Hey, I'm in for 10 on that bet. He's already tried to spill my Mountain Dew all over my computer earlier.
I want this to be, I'm going to give myself a nice straight edge here. I may have to. Now kids, if you're watching this, the razor knife is the most useful tool you can have in this stuff, but you need to be careful. I mean, I've been using this razor knife for stuff like this for a very long time, for years, so I'm very comfortable with it, and I'm aware of all the safety precautions that are necessary. Okay. So I just kind of measured how long I want it. It's going to go from here. It's going to ramp up. It's going to kind of ramp up like this into the flat level, or into the piece, or into the walkway. Now, how thick I want the walkway is going to be a whole different story. I think with this one, I'm going to do something kind of like this. Now, if you remember, all this is going to be textured and beaten up, so I mean, you don't have to be real. You know, you don't need your cuts to be perfect and all that, like this. You know, that kind of stuff where when I cut it, it kind of caught it. That's fine. That's going to be rock texture. Okay, so I've got that. Where am I? Now next, I'm going to shape it and give it that. Give it this little ramp feel. Okay, so basically that's what we've got. It's like a ramp. Now it kind of looks plain and kind of corny, so what you're going to do is first first we'll do this. We got to make it look like, you know, you want the whole thing to look like rock. So you're going to go through and texture this. Now that I talk shit, watch me for myself. You know, and this is my standard. I've gone over this 100 times. This is the best way to do quick, easy stone mountainous texture. This is a large piece, so I'm doing larger chunks. So you do a smaller chunk, you know, for smaller, more detailed. The only thing you got to worry about with that is you want it consistent across all your pieces for the set. So if you make all your small scatter terrain pieces real tiny detailed cuts for the stone, when you get to the larger pieces, if you do large cuts, it's going to look funky. It'll look weird because it doesn't match. It's not all the same scale, basically.
You disrupt the flow of the terrain.
Yeah. And this end piece is going to be a kind of a jagged cut off. Anything that looks like an angle. Now here's another trick, another thing I use with the knife. Take this knife, this razor knife, and I don't know if you can see this. I'm just kind of scraping it over, kind of even those edges out. Some of it's gonna pop off. You're gonna do it kind of easy. You get the feel for it. Get down to those cracks. But that knife itself will create plenty of textures. You gotta think the way we paint this, you know, or I'll go over it with kind of a thin, wet, thin black mixture of black paint and PVA glue, and that black's going to get down in all these little divots that this is creating. And I'm just dragging it just level across it. It catches and starts digging in. But that black gets down in these little crevices that this is creating. So then when you go over, like we will with a sponge, and tap it with the gray paint on top, it leaves those lower areas stay black. It gives you that real good shadow effect, gives you that real good just gives you a real good it pops. It makes it pop out. Here's an example of it. This stuff. Did you see the black? The black is those lower areas. And I go over it with a dark gray, and then a lighter gray, and then a lighter gray. But it creates that stone texture. So, let me get my thing here. This beginning piece is kind of crucial. You want to make sure everything's lined up. Once you get these pieces that connect off the bottom, then you can get more into freehand. But this stuff you want these to be lined up just right of where they connect. That's going to go there. And that's going to go there. Can you hold this up? I want to mark. I'm going to mark on the underside exactly where this needs to be attached. Okay. So now,
who got it? Who? It dropped.
I think he did it.
No, I did not.
I'm almost positive. It was fine until you came over here.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it! I've got another one though. That's good. Now, probably should have had this plugged in before. Oh shit! I forgot to pull that down. Get my glue gun going here. I ended up having to order a whole new bucket of glue sticks. Because I have a box of glue sticks that I ordered, but it got buried. Because the other side of this, you think this side's clustered, you should see the other side of my garage.
We're not even going to put the camera in there.
Yeah, no. But so we got to get this warmed up. In the meantime,
while we are waiting, last week I started something. I did something, a game mastering tip, and I was thinking in these downtime moments like this, while we're waiting for a heat gun to heat up, or Charlie to find a piece of terrain, that I could say something, pass on some of my experience of my 30-some years of game mastering. And when I say it like that, I feel old. as well I should, because I am old. But last week, as I said, as a game master, your number one goal, or it should be your top. Man, what's the word I'm looking for?
Priority?
Priority, yes. Your top priority as a game master is entertaining the players. As I said, if the players are enjoying your game, you're doing great. You're fulfilling your top priority. You should definitely know the rules. But I mean, when it comes, in the end, no matter how good you know the rules, no matter how much time you put into your story and how convoluted, complex, or whatever it is, if the players don't enjoy your game, none of that kind of matters. You need to present the game, in a way that that they are having fun, that they do enjoy. But anyway, that's why I said your number one goal or priority as a game master. Another thing that I wanted to pass on is something I've never seen anybody really talk about it, and it's what I call gaming strife. And generally, what this entails is a player or players, in worse conditions, disagrees with something that the GM is doing or does. And I've seen this in my years. I've seen this ruin a game night. There was a couple of the worst one, and the first one that I can think of is when somebody we were inventing a gaming system, and I won't even go into that part, but there was an argument began on whether plate mail covered a person's neck. And it devolved into just an argument between the players and the game master, and it was just a terrible night. Usually it's not that bad. My advice is, in a perfect world, what the game master says goes, because he's the game master, and there is always that. But like I said, that you start infringing on your number one priority. If you're just some authoritarian, mean game master, nobody's gonna like your game. So you have to create some balance. And one thing that I would advise, if a disagreement comes up, if it's not solved in about the first 15-20 seconds, then the game master should table this until after the game. Have it be solved after the game is over. And if it's solved, if whatever happened is solved in the character's favor, maybe give them an experience bonus or something like that, to reward them for being right. And let's see, what else? What's another thing that they can do? Yeah, players, be respectful. Your game master has gone through a lot of trouble to make his game and to get to that point. So, I mean, don't just go out, oh, I call bullshit on that. Don't ever do that. That's another time where I've seen a game devolved into nothing. Don't call bullshit on them. Say, question them, maybe. Respectfully ask, about the situation. Because maybe the game master is, missing something. He goes, oh, yeah, you're right. That is the way it should be. And it's solved easily. Yeah. But if you just call bullshit, it's going to put that game master in argue mode.
Yeah, well, it makes the game master defensive, and a lot of it is it's choosing who you play with and the right type of people. Where there are players who they see it as a me against you kind of deal, and they want to argue so that they can feel like they've won another battle. And people and they'll argue just because they see an opportunity for them to make their player more powerful, and that's the stuff that just drives me nuts. Yeah, no asshole rule. The dungeon master, if it's something major, be like, oh well, I can do this, and it's going to add 2d10 to my damage. You're breaking the game that's been made. That means the dungeon master is going to have to go back and refigure all of his, refigure everything he's got for all the fights ahead. I've always, as a player, I think it's easy. Like as a player, it's what the game master wants. It's what the, he's the one that is directing or producing this story. I understand the characters are also working with the story, but the game master is the one who has the whole vision in his head. He knows what scenes, he thinks will be most exciting for the players and stuff like that. So if the game master says, no, it doesn't work that way. It's not, no, it doesn't work this way because the rules are this. It's simple. No, it doesn't work that way in this game we're playing right now. And you leave it at that. It's that easy. Okay, he doesn't want me to do that, so I'm not going to do that. I mean, it can be that simple, but like for some reason, characters just want to push back, and it gets to me. It gets to me when they do that.
But yeah, a lot of times, like the basis of what he said, it's part of it is they want their character to be more powerful, or the other part, kind of the worst part, they think they're being cheated. And that's kind of the basis of the strife on their end, because they feel a little hurt that, my character's being cheated. He should be able to do this and he can't do this. And that's where the arguments, that's where some arguments, start from. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, not to be a hard ass, but if you're sitting at my table playing my game, and you think I'm cheating you, this might not be the table for you. If you think I'm that vicious towards my players that I'm going to cheat them when I can, I'm the game master. I can do whatever the hell I want. It's not cheating. And if I have it planned out ahead of time, this is the way this is going to work. That's how it's going to work. There's no, it's not like I'm purposely trying to cheat that individual player. If you have that kind of attitude as a player, you're going to have problems anywhere you play.
Yes.
You're going to feel like you're getting cheated every time. You don't get to hide in shadows in the middle of an open field with no trees or cover. I mean, let me switch back to the terrain cam here. I'm going to cut some more.
All right, so to end the short game mastering tips moment, Brooke actually puts it together, or says it really well right there. Everybody's playing together. It's not the DM versus the player. It's not the players versus the DM. It is the DM and the players working together to create a story.
Yeah, and I really like that idea. I never really thought of it that way, but exactly, that you're all working together to produce a cool, exciting story in the end. And if you're not willing to let your player character take some hits or whatever to further that end, then I question how good of a player you are at that point, or how whether you have the right mindset for my table.
All right. Well, I think we've beaten that horse to death. Yeah. All right. Well, the last thing on that, on the next dead spot, we will speak about phone usage and gaming.
Oh.
All right. But anyway, the hot glue gun is
dripping.
Should be nice and hot now. So I will turn it back over to Charlie and return to my sidekick role.
Okay. So I'm to the point where I can attach this. Kind of got it narrowed down. I want to bring this piece on again to make sure where is it? Make sure I'm at the right height.
Man, there's no way to mark that moment to put it into a short later, right? Or do we know?
You just mark the I just write down the timestamp.
Oh.
Okay. I have a little bit of a gap where it's not sitting flat and square, but I'll show how we cover that here in a little bit, or when we get down to that point. So I've got it in place. I'm gonna mark this underside line. I'm going to mark the underside of it because if the line ends up showing, it'll be on the underside and you won't be able to tell. My heat gun, the nicer ones, this is a Sure Bonder. I got it from, I think, Hobby Lobby, and it's been awesome for years. It has two settings. It has a high and a low. You want it where styrofoam, you want to use the low setting. But right now, the glue that's in this tip is super hot because it's been sitting in there on that element for 10 minutes or whatever. So before that first piece of glue, let's see if I can find an example here. That first piece of glue is actually so hot when it comes out, you can't tell really, but it actually melts into the styrofoam. You don't want it to melt the styrofoam. So what I do is I'll squirt a couple globs out. Now you have fresh glue in that nozzle that's not super hot. And then I'm just going to run a glob. Place it on that line. And hold it down. I didn't do the sticks like I had planned.
There's always a percentage of ad-libbing in our terrain designs.
Yep. Just give it some pressure for a minute. And now, what I'll do is, we have this, it's going to go here, actually goes here. This underside, try that one more time. Okay. I know where that stops. Now there's my first ledge. And these ledges, you want them to vary on thickness. I'm going to have, like, if you notice this one, it's large enough for 2 characters here, but as you get closer up, there's only large enough for 1 character, which will make them, if multiple people come up here, they're going to have to go into a single file line, which, you know, when it comes to fighting people and stuff like that, you know, it's definitely a, it's a tool, as you know, as a dungeon master. You know, you take advantage of the fact that they're in a single file line. There's that glue. You can see how it. Let me get in the right place here. You can see how it ate a hole into that. You don't want that. That's why it's important to squirt those first couple of squirts out of that gun before you start using it. Because even on low setting, when it sits on that element for a long time, it gets hot. Now, here on the underside of this, you can see it's just flat and kind of, kind of plain. What I'll do is literally, I have mountains of this scrap stuff on my floor from doing the edges and stuff. You take these pieces, kind of break them up.
Here's just a quick view of the mountains.
Yeah. bring it, scoot it this way. There. I'm gonna take some of these random pieces, squirt a bit of glue on it, make sure I'm in the right spot here, and glue them onto the underside of this. We'll scoop that up. And it just gives it more of that rocky texture. And these may seem like they're fragile, you know, like they're going to break off real easy, which right now, for the next, you know, you can kind of Jenga fit them together to create, just to add it some texture and some feel underneath there. But they seem kind of fragile right now. Well, they'll pop off easy, and they will. But when I go to do my, like I said earlier, my initial base coat of paint, I use either PVA glue and black paint, or more recently, I will use Mod Podge, which is basically like a watered down PVA glue. But I'll mix a big bucket of Mod Podge and black paint where it's black, and literally, you know, slather everything. And when it dries, it creates a good hard shell. It'll get way up in these cracks of all this stuff, and it creates a shell that just hardens everything. It does a really good job of holding little detail pieces like this together. You know, it attaches them all to each other, puts a hard shell over it.
It's basically like a very cost-efficient clear coat.
Yeah.
And something, a little bit of
but
much armor as you can.
But it's dual purpose too, because it's also your base coat, your black base coat. And so it saves you, because a lot of people will base coat it and then put a layer of PVA glue, where you're saving a lot of time if you just mix it together and slap it on there together. Let's see, that's gonna look. And this is the gap. I'm not sure if you can see, there's a little gap here. Once I attach everything and get it all together, I'll do the same thing and shove rocks up underneath there. So there we go. I got my first step.
And also to add to that, beyond the pieces of shoving into there, caulk is the great equalizer. It fixes everything. It gets rid of your cracks. It'll hide stuff that you don't want to see. If you made a bad slice somewhere, you can smooth that stuff over it.
Yep. I'll also do, and I'll wait until everything's done, but I'll also do where I'll take pieces and attach them along these edges here, you know, like this. It kind of hides those edges, and it just makes everything look that much. I don't know how well you can see that, but it makes it adds more, it adds to the stony, mountainous looking thing, where you got random stones on the edges of the paths and stuff like that. I'm thinking this is where my first cave is going to be. So what I'm going to do is, with the idea that they're going in the cliffside, there is a cult of Moloch, or I think it's Urduru. A cult of some big tentacly otherworld monster. They've been inhabiting these cliffs for a while. Now they're comfortable enough to the point where they built a large what's the word? Like they're starting to build like a temple deal here. And that's where the town has decided. I'm busy.
6, 7.
Shut up. That's where the town has decided, okay, it's time for these guys to go, and that's what you're coming in to clean up. So this area this is going to be like their main access to this area from the rest of the cliffs. So I'm going to put a cave entrance here, and this is going to be a nicer one. It's one of the, you know, now they've been established for a while, they're going to have a nice kind of a decorative cave entrance here. So what I'm going to do is, like everything else, I'm going to use my knife, kind of outline how I want this door to go. It's going to be a doorway entrance. And I'm just freehanding it because I'll be able to chop away at it and make it larger. I'm freehanding it and making it a little bit small. I don't know how well you guys can see this. Everybody who's come through, be sure to hit that like button for us, man. It makes us feel good. It helps with the algorithm or something, but even more so, it makes us feel good. It makes it feel like we're doing something here. So I'm just going to use, I kind of dug into it and outlined that door. Now I'm just going to pop these pieces out. And basically I just need to create I'm just creating a recess in here. It doesn't have to go real deep, but you want it deep enough to where you paint it pitch black so it looks like a cave entrance and not just a chunk out of the wall. You know, I'll paint it pitch black and leave it pitch black so it looks like an opening.
Oh, and Tooth, woohoo!
Woo!
His game sold out.
Did it?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. The GenCon games went on sale today. I think I had one game that was almost sold out, but I haven't had a chance to check it in quite a while.
So I can check it right now while we're waiting.
I was thinking, you know, of course, I'm questioning myself. I may have put too high of a price on it.
On what?
On my game. I don't remember. I don't remember putting a lot of thought into the price. I kind of just went along with what we were discussing at the time. If I'd have thought more about it, I think I would have had it at $10 instead of $12. It worries me. You know, I want the people that play my game to feel like they're getting their money's worth. You know, if they're paying their own money to come have me run a game, I really want them to get their to feel like they're getting their money's worth. And so the more and more you start charging for games, the more pressure I feel to actually to produce. I am sweating. Like
it's hot in here. We're suffering for you guys, folks. Yep. There's no AC in here.
Yeah.
We have one, but it'd just be too loud and annoying. Hey, your Thursday game sold out.
Mine is?
Yes.
Yes.
Your Thursday. I'm not. Actually, so far everybody's sold out except I think the Maison Despair has 1 ticket left. Oh no. The Druid's Maid has 3 tickets left.
For Thursday?
Yeah.
So all the Thursday games are sold out.
No. Not the Mad Druid's Maze, and I think Maison Despair has 1 left.
Huh.
I got 2 tickets left on my game. All right, your Friday game is still untouched.
So, this is what we've got so far. I'm thinking maybe a ladder up to a walkway here and a walkway here. Okay. Because there's going to be ladders and vines, and there's going to be multiple different ways to ascend this cliff face. So we're going to do another walkway here. That's going to be the smooth side that glues against the wall. This is going to be the top of the walkway. I want this to come down and out like that. This will be the end that the ladder, it'll be like this, and a ladder will come up. The ladder's going to come up the middle, and they'll be able to go either this direction or the other direction off of the ladder. You just kind of remove that edge. I'm going to leave this as thick as it is. This to look like, ow, I stabbed myself. Okay, here we go. Oh, this needs to come. And this is, a lot of this, it's 100, this is the grunt work of the job. Once I get all this lined out, we're going to do this today, keep adding these, and hopefully what the plan is, I'll finish all of these off camera, add a lot of the texture and detail, so next time we come to work on it, all I'm going to have left is I'll save a little bit of the detail that I can do with a hot glue gun, and then we'll start painting. I'll have my paint all mixed up and ready to go, and we can go through the painting process, which that's obviously the more fun and the more exciting part of all of this is the painting process. And as I'm doing these, I'll start working with stuff to where I want to watch how I do this. Just cut real deep chunks in to try and create like stalactite looking formations, and it's just saying I don't. It's hard to explain how you do it. You just angle it and get the piece to be pointy and pointy at the end and wider up top. And it gives more. It just gives more distinctness to it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And then you don't do it for a while and you suck at it. And I'm sure there is there's an art to it. I'm sure there's a proper way, to do it, but I don't do things that way. I always do things, I just do them by feel. But you can, if I keep digging away at this chunk, it just gets deeper and deeper in there. Dig away at the back side of it.
Just want to give a real quick shout out to Jill, my wonderful wife. Love you, babe.
Hi, Jill. Thank you for giving up Justin on a Sunday for me. But you got to keep us old men entertained. It's cheaper than the bar. Okay, so this. So we're gonna have the. This is gonna be. I want it to be about there. And this is going to be the edge. So I'm going to cut this off a little long here. This edge, I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in a minute. Make sure everything's good and level. I'm going to run a line along the bottom side. I still need to texture some of this though. Mark that. Man, this pencil is giving me a hard time. I gotta finish this here.
All right, while he finishes that, I will go into the next little kind of game master advice of phones at the gaming table. Players, this can be a very disturbing fact to game masters. At worst, it's a problem because you're losing concentration from the game and just kind of paying attention to whatever is going on your phone at the time. Players, you gotta remember that the game master has gone through a lot of trouble to, very likely hours and hours of preparation to get here. And it's kind of a very serious letdown when he goes through all that preparation and just everybody is, on their phone. Maybe not the whole time, maybe only for about 10 minutes, but they missed something important down the line in that 10 minutes. So while gaming, players and dungeon masters alike, please keep phone usage to a minimum. I mean, there's always, you got to answer a text or certain person calls, you got to answer them. I mean, of course do that, but don't be playing. What are some of the games?
I don't know. Cards and Castles.
Yeah, Cards and Castles or Fruit. I can't even remember.
Yeah, fruit toss.
Yeah, Fruit Toss, Angry Birds. But just games like that.
Or other role-playing games.
Yeah, other role-playing games. You're watching crafting vids of somebody else. So unless those crafters are us, you shouldn't really do that during the game.
Well, and just as aware of it, we have that issue at our table, and I get quite often the argument, I can look at my phone and listen to you too. And my response to that is, even if you are listening to what's going on and staying and being aware, you're double tasking or whatever, multitasking, it appears rude as far as I'm concerned. You're being rude to the other players that are paying attention or invested in the story. You're being rude to the dungeon master who is invested in paying attention to the story. While everybody's excited talking about something happening and you're just staring at your phone. And I say something like, "Hey, are you paying attention?" "Yeah, I'm listening." Still staring at your phone. It's just rude. I think it's very rude behavior. It's rude to the dungeon master. It's rude to the other players. If you're not willing to give it at least 90% of your attention while you're sitting at my table, I'm not real excited about having you at my table.
It
comes across as rude.
And Yeah, that not only is ruse, if one person does it, if one player does it, another player is going to see him and think, oh, it's okay to do that, because, you know, it'll be infectious. One person starts, and then next thing you know, the whole table is looking at their phones. And while person A may or may not be able to, you know, multitask properly and pay attention to his phone and you at the same time, not everybody else can.
Right.
Like, that's one of the things during our games. We do have a player that, you know, can multitask very well, but he talks to the person beside him constantly who cannot, and that person loses track of what's going on in the game.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very frustrating as a dungeon master, and it also, I mean, you know, I don't know. It makes me feel like, I'm trying to think the best way to put this. It makes me feel like my story isn't interesting enough to hold your attention. And if that's the case, that I can take that criticism. But when everyone else at the table is enjoying themselves, and then the one person is staring at their phone, it makes me wonder. You know, it's not that what I'm doing isn't exciting enough. It's just that you're not invested and excited about what I'm doing. But it is a way to, you know, like you talked about earlier, you know, letting what was it you said about keeping it exciting for the players? It goes into like the spotlight kind of thing of letting players have their spotlights. You know, by putting a spotlight on a single player in your story, that's what drags them into it, makes them more invested into it. You know, and as a way to DM, if you have that player that you feel like is getting bored with the story or isn't, you know, is kind of losing track and isn't excited about it, that's one of the things you can do is you put that spotlight on them, give them a big scene, give them something to do that invests them back into the story, and you can pull them back into the story that way. Okay, so this is going to go off to the edge. I've got a line drawn already right there, so I'm ready to glue it. I'm going to remember.
I'm going to pin it this time?
Yeah. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. I'll take these skewers, cut them at an angle. Do this. I'm using that hot glue that melts. Kind of squish it in there. It softens that plastic up. Just jam it in there. Do that at a couple spots. And that glue, hopefully, once that glue dries, it'll hold it in there. That's not pointed. We cut that off at an angle to give it a point. Another one. They don't need to be very long. Give that a second to dry. Glue over this. Put a decent glob of glue on each of the tips of these so that there's a good gob of glue there. Gob of glue, good gob of glue. Oh, don't put it on upside down. Stick it into place. Hold it for a minute. You gonna watch everybody's arches?
Arcs, story arcs.
Oh, arcs. That's right. Reading comprehension, Charlie. Reading comprehension. Or spelling, I guess. Okay. There's that. Now I have ladders. Oh, I had somewhere else to plug that damn fan in.
Was it not plugged in right now?
Yeah, I had to use that plug to plug in the hot glue gun.
All right. That sounds like sidekick work. I will do that. You can do your thing.
Take it. I don't know where. Maybe is there room to plug it in down there?
Yes.
We're just trying to get a fan going in here. It's literally probably 95 degrees in this place right now.
Warm.
We have an AC. But I'm afraid it was too loud. Like it'll drown everything out. I'm gonna sit down here for a minute. My knee is killing me. Oh. But yeah. Is that fan really loud? Looking at the arches at people's feet, yeah. Don't shame me. Don't shame me. Don't kink shame me. Can you guys hear that fan real well? I mean, is that loud? Ugh. They're like, what? We can't hear you. But yeah, these.
Okay, they can hear it, but it doesn't really drown us out. Hopefully it's not going to be too distracting.
Yeah, I'm going to die of heat exhaustion if we don't have this on for a minute.
We'll have this dealt with by next week. We can find a better fan to place in a different area. We'll also test out to see if this AC drowns us out as well, but we're not going to test that right now.
But does anybody have any suggestions or comments on my cliff system here? You know, I'd love to hear some feedback. Because like I said, I plan on like this here. I'm gonna have a ladder. I'll have a ladder that's glued to it. I'll carve it. I'll use these actually, the skewer sticks to, you know, to build a ladder, have it glued to the wall. A ladder that goes up to here, and they'll be able to go this direction and this direction. This one over here, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it because I have this angle. These, let me see here. Let's stand this up, back this up a little bit. That's probably really loud fan-wise. He's going to be at this angle here. And so my piece that comes here is actually going to come around this angle. It'll be a larger platform that sits, you know, in here. Maybe